Hello, my name's Jason, and my wife and I hiked the West Highland Way in Scotland on April 17th, Easter Sunday, to the 22nd. We did it in 6 days. And I want to make this video because both of us consider those 6 days to be six of the greatest days of our life. And we had a lot of time to plan on it, so I did a lot of research into the trail. I had somewhat of a background in backpacking. But in researching the trail, even watching videos since we've been home, it became obvious to me that for a lot of people, those were not the six greatest days of their life. There's a lot of people just watching YouTube videos about the trail and seeing the Facebook page. There's a lot of people that go into that hike and end up enduring it if they finish instead of enjoying it, like my wife and I both did. And there's a lot of people that fail. They're miserable. They have to bail. And it comes down to two main things I can see. One is they're carrying way too much weight, which means they're taking things they don't need, and what they do need, they're carrying things that are just way too heavy. The second thing is that their footwear choice is inappropriate for what they're doing. And so as I go through my pack today and how my wife and I did it, I want to acknowledge that a lot of my information comes from a website called The Trek. That's Trek spelled TREK.co. In America, we have 3 long-distance trails. They're real famous. Each one of them are over 2,000 miles. What the Trek does is takes a lot of information about people that hike those trails and boils it down. They use great surveys. They have great gear recommendations. Some of them go extremely light into the ultralight category, which is where I tend to go. Others are not. But people that do the West Highland Way consider 15 kilos or 33 pounds to be an acceptable trail weight. Nobody that finishes America's 3 long-distance trails is carrying a pack that heavy. What we refer to as base weight, which means everything in your pack other than food, water, and fuel, the consumables. The people that finish those 3 trails, their base weight, especially in the Appalachian Trails, the one I'm most familiar with, is 20 pounds or less. If you're carrying 30 pounds, you do not finish those trails. So a lot of my information comes from there. So I'm going to lead you through my pack and try and explain some of those things. Because there's people that say they do their research, and by the second day of the West Highland Way, they're just dying. They're in pain. And I want to try to have people avoid that because I wasn't in pain at all the whole time. My wife and I averaged over 17 miles a day. So let me walk you through this. My backpack I took is a frameless backpack. It weighs less than a pound. It's made by Gossamer Gear. It's called the Kumo, K-U-M-O. It's 36 liters. That includes the main compartment, the back stretchy pocket, and the 2 side pockets. The Kumo is frameless, but it has a pocket back here that a sit pad goes into, which I didn't use, but I kept the sit pad on there. One of the things that the people in the West Highland Way do, obviously you have to prepare for rain in Scotland, which I did, and we experienced extremely little. People in the West Highland Way will use gigantic packs with pack covers. Pack covers are a terrible idea because the water will run down your raincoat, in between your raincoat and your pack, soak through your pack and get whatever's in there wet. Now, a lot of people use dry bags. I'm going to show you a trick to eliminate dry bags and that problem. So using a pack cover, use a pack liner. This is just a clear plastic one. You can use a clear or just a regular garbage bag, a trash compactor bag, or a heavier duty bag. This one is not that heavy duty. So what I'm going to do is take my pack before I put anything in it, and I'm going to put my pack liner in it and cuff it over the top. Now everything I put in the pack liner is stuff that can get wet that I don't want to get wet. And you'll see the other things I'm going to put outside of it that are basically waterproof. So the first thing I'm going to do is put my sleeping bag in there. I'm not going to have the sleeping bag in a stuff sack. Excuse me. This way the sleeping bag is going to go in and fill out all the empty spaces of the pack and make it fit better and be a lot more balanced. This was actually my wife's sleeping bag. Her pack is even smaller than mine, and my sleeping bag fit better in hers, so I put hers in mine. So I'm just going to cram that all the way to the bottom, again filling in all those empty spaces and compressing it way down. Now anything else that I'm not going to need during the day, but can stay dry, I'm going to stick in there. So I'm going to put my spare clothes in there. I had a spare pair of darn tough merino wool socks. I had a pair of insulated running tights, which I ended up not using at all. I put those in there. Other items that I'm not going to use during the day need to stay dry. I have a quick drying towel, which I didn't use, but my wife did. I actually didn't shower the whole time. I did it like a real hiker. So I'll put that in there. I would put the pillow, the inflatable pillow in there for the night. And if I didn't start out with it in the morning, I have a puffy. This is a really lightweight puffy. I end up using it for an hour or two out of, I believe when we left the Inveronin Hotel, the one that's down by another lock, I don't forget if that's the name or not. You curve around it, go up a Drover's Road. Up on that Drover's Road, it got really cold and windy. So I wore this for about, I don't know, an hour or two maybe. And then at night, once we were at our sites, I'd wear it. So I'm going to stuff all that down in there. And I believe that's it for the pack liner. And then what I'm going to do, push that down in there. I'm going to take the top. And I'm going to push that down, get all the air out of the pack liner. And this was basically my morning ritual, repacking the pack. And I'm filling out all that space in the pack. And it's going to be nice and even. And I'm going to twist the top of it and just tuck it in to hold it down. So now this is, it only comes up to here. So here's the top of my pack. I've got the bottom, I don't know, maybe it's a little less than 2/3 filled. Then on top of that, I'm going to put stuff I'm not going to need real quickly. I might need during the day, but I'm going to put it on the top. That's not going to get wet. One thing was my electronics bag. So I have a 10,000 milliamp charger, my phone charging cord, an adapter for the United Kingdom plugs or American plugs, an extra camera battery, a headlamp, a really lightweight headlamp made by Nightcore. It's a rechargeable headlamp, but very, very bright, very, very tiny. Excuse me. The only thing that's missing in here were the two cords for our smartwatches. They're not in here. That battery charger, actually, I think it weighs a pound. That added quite a bit to my pack. I'm going to put that on top of the dry bag. I have a, let's see here, a toiletry kit, which for me was just a toothbrush, toothpaste, and a comb. There was soap in here for my wife to use. I didn't use it, but that was in there. On top of that, I think I also put a medical kit. Most people take medical kits big enough because they think they're going to perform open heart surgery. I just took the stuff I knew I would need, or probably need. So I got a bag of pills. I've got anti-diarrheal pills, allergy pills, and ibuprofen. My wife ended up using ibuprofen, that was it. I have a tick card, which we didn't use. A little tiny thing of sunscreen, which we actually did use. I have stuff called tenacious tape for gear repair. I have a little tiny sewing kit with a needle and a bunch of thread. Nail clippers. I have stuff called Leukotape. So instead of all the blister stuff, Leukotape is some stuff that you can put on any hot spots that are forming. It sticks on you for days. You have problems getting it off. Actually, it fell right off my wife, so I don't know what's wrong with her skin. I used it once. I had a little tiny spot on my right pinky toe that I had before we started the trip. I put on there just as protection. My wife used this on one of her toes. We had a couple blisters under the nails. I had one. I think she had two. We just popped them. We were fine. And for those people like carrying a big knife, this is the knife I carried. A little tiny Swiss Army knife. The only thing I actually used on it was the scissors to cut the Leukotape. But it has tweezers on there for ticks. And that's it for the knife. And I think 2 safety pins. So I take the first aid kit, and that's in a mini roll top dry bag, so it's not going to get wet. And I'm just going to put it on top in case I need it. It's right there. And I believe that's it for the inside of the pack. So I still have plenty of room. One thing my wife and I did not do, and I'm going to talk about this on another video, what gear I would have used. We did not camp out. My wife didn't want to be intense. I actually didn't mind. It wasn't too bad. So we stayed in like some cabins, the Rower Youth Hostel, that kind of thing. We also did not cook our own food. So I'm going to get into what my cook set would have looked like and what our sleep system would have looked like, or mine if I had gone solo later. It was still easy to fit in this pack. So now that I got the stuff on the inside, I'm just going to take the top, and this folds, the Kumo folds over. Well, actually, I'm not going to attach it yet because in this back stretchy pocket, I'm going to put the stuff I think I might need really quick access to. So, for me, that was a rain suit. I see people on the West Highland Way with gigantic heavy-duty rain suits. This is a Frog Togs rain suit made by Frog Togs. I got off Amazon for about $25. Extremely lightweight, far less than a pound. And I'm just going to stuff that onto this back pocket. A lot of the lightweight backpacks that are being made in America have that nice stretchy pocket. I think in the UK, Atom Packs is making some. I'm also going to put gaiters, which I ended up being a big fan of. My plan for rain was I've got waterproof shoes, trail runners, that I'm going to get into a little bit. And then I was going to put these gaiters on and then have the rain pants over the gaiters so that the rain would come down the rain pants over the which are over the gaiters. Rain would run onto the gaiters and then off my waterproof shoes, and I would avoid getting my feet wet, or at least really wet. And I end up wearing these actually, I think 5 to 6 days because I just enjoyed not getting rocks in my shoes, even little tiny ones, which never really bothered me before. When you get absolutely none, it's fantastic. So I put those in the back. Most mornings I get really cold hands, so it's really weird. I didn't wear the insulated tights at all, even though it was down. Upper 30s was probably the coldest it got, but my hands get freezing cold. So I brought these great big gloves. I usually start out every morning with them. And then they have liners. I would peel those off and cram these in the back pocket until we stop some other place and I put them in the main pocket. So I'm going to put those in there for now, and I'll show you what I do with the gloves later. And that's what I did for the back stretchy pocket. Although because we had no rain, the rain stuff eventually just made its way into the pack and stayed there. The Kumo has this zipper pocket right here. In here I kept a couple of Ziploc bags in case we stopped for food somewhere and I wanted to make up a sandwich, or I think once I made up a bagel at breakfast and that was my lunch. I could stick it in here, but I kept a couple of Ziploc bags handy. But in there I kept my wallet, and then I had my passport and vaccination card. I think I had a spare mask in there as well. That was in that pocket. The side pockets, I had one small bottle of water. I don't drink a lot of water. But I had a Sawyer water filter, which we ended up not using at all because there's water all along the way and spigots. And with the Sawyer water filter, I have something, and I don't know how the company pronounces it, but it's called CNOC. I call it NOC, Outdoor Water Bag. It's a lot nicer than the Sawyer ones. You can open up this top, it's a wide top, and just scoop it down in the water, put it on there, and squeeze it in. Also, if you need to store more water, you can fill up your water bottles and fill up this bag, seal it shut, and strap it on the outside of your pack. I had the Sawyer water filter, a coupling to backwash it if I had to. I think a spare, excuse me, O-ring. Like I said, we didn't use the water filter at all. I would recommend taking one though, just in case. If we'd been cooking, I imagine I would have used the water filter. So that's going to go in one of these side pockets here. I took a tripod with me. We only used it for one picture. That was at the obelisk. I set it on the water fountain there. But I kept that handy. And then I had my poop shovel to dig a hole, and toilet paper, which, again, there's so many bathrooms and stuff I ended up not using all. Put that in a side pocket. And, oh, the shoulder strap pockets, once they got warm enough and my mutant hands got warm enough, I put those in there. And I had a merino wool beanie. That usually stayed in one of these. I also became a big fan of buffs. I took one just for the heck of it. I ended up using it quite a bit. Sun protection on my neck. One time I pulled it up over my hat, kind of keep my hat on when it got real windy in a couple spots. That even kept me a little warm in my head, but that would stick. I'd put that in with the beanie. And I believe that was it for my pack. When I weighed it, it weighed about 10 3/4 of a pound. I was trying to get below 10 pounds to be true ultra weight. That battery pack sent me over. I usually don't carry one of those. I know the sleeping bag's heavy. But 10 1/4 pounds, and that was it. People on the West Highland Way, their goal weight is like 15 kilos or 33 pounds. So mine's less than 5 kilos. And I know that's without a cook system and a tent. I imagine a tent, I would have got something really ultralight. That would have been another pound, pound and a half. Cook system might have been a pound. It wasn't going to add a lot of weight to this. I would have been below a 15-pound base weight easily. If I'd switched out the sleeping bag, I probably would have gone a lot lighter. So, and still lots of room in the top for the Kumo. As far as clothes go, I wore the most expensive pair of underwear I have. This is by a group called Path Projects. They sell some special synthetic fabrics. So I decided to wear, I've worn these once on a trip. They work fantastic. The shirt was just a thicker synthetic shirt with the Appalachian Trail white blaze on it, short sleeve shirt. I hiked for a few miles before we got to Ben Glass campsite in a short sleeve shirt. I sweated once, I think, in my lower back. Temperatures like were in the upper 30s in the morning. The warmest I got was maybe the upper 60s. So pretty dang warm. Over the shirt, I wore Columbia Silver Ridge button-down shirt. Really lightweight, really meant just keep the sun off you, not much insulation. Another resource, I'll say that where I got this from, was a guy named Darwin. Darwin on Trail, or Darwin on the Trail, has, I think, the most popular backpacking YouTube channel in America. A lot of great gear, a lot of great instructional things. He's actually off YouTube now, but I left the channel up. This also has like a chest pocket, like a zipper that you normally see on jackets. I actually ended up using that quite a bit. But wore this the entire time except those last couple miles before Ben Glass. And the big hit on the trail were my shorts. These look really goofy, but they're actually made by North Face. I believe they're meant for water, but because they're made for water, they're also very quick drying, lightweight and quick drying. So everything, my backpacking clothes, you know, I came prepared for rain. I want everything so to be able to dry really, really quick. Otherwise, wearing it or at night. So these shorts got a lot of nice compliments. I think they were trending on the trail. Had a pair of very thin merino wool socks. I actually wore these the entire time and not the other ones. I didn't switch them out because of that problem on my right pinky toe, which ended up not being any problem at all. But these were thinner, so they wouldn't push up against it that much. I always carry this carabiner. My friend gave it to me years ago. It's my lucky carabiner. I never go anywhere without it, even though it's extra weight. I had a fanny pack. I started out with one fanny pack and discovered the zipper was blowing out on it like as soon as we left the States. So I picked this up in Tindrum in the outdoor shop there. In the fanny pack, I kept a waterproof notebook with a bunch of notes that I wrote down before we left. It has all our schedules on it, possible ATMs, possible food resupplies, every place we were staying, their contact information, mileage. I just wanted something on paper and something where I could take notes, write things down. I had a pencil with that. Also in there, I kept my phone, which I don't have on me. I used that for tracking. I used a app called Far Out. which has a lot of long distance trails on, but also has the West Highland Way. The Far Out app is free. The West Highland Way map is, excuse me, $10. Has a ton of resources on it. I used that the entire time navigating. I used Google Maps maybe a little bit when I thought it seemed like we weren't where we should be, but never got lost anything. It's not that bad of a trail. But Far Out was a big help. In the back pocket of the fanny pack, I kept whatever cash or in metal coins we had on us. The only time we needed cash or metal coins was at Ben Glass when my wife did some laundry. Again, I did it like a real hiker, so I didn't even change clothes or wash my clothes the whole time. Other than that, I had a smartwatch on to track mileage, a paracord bracelet that has the colors of my family's tartan, which I thought was kind of cool. I didn't take a hat. I wanted to get a hat on the trail, so I got this at that outdoor shop at Tindrum. So about shoes. People carrying too much weight on their backs. The other thing they're doing is wearing big honking waterproof boots. And waterproof boots are great if water never ever gets inside them or your feet never ever sweat. So I got waterproof sneakers. Out of all the footwear on the Appalachian Trail, this is the most popular one, the most widely used. These are the Ultra Lone Peaks, the waterproof version. People that start out in boots on the Appalachian Trail get rid of them very quickly. They're just not good for long distance walking. You walk every day in shoes, and all of a sudden you're going to go do a trail and you're going to use boots where your feet move differently. Now they don't breathe. These were fine the whole way. I know people say it gets rocky at points. I believe this has a real thin rock plate on it. It did not bother my feet at all. I took my feet out of my shoes once a day maybe when we were hiking, let my feet breathe. Other than that, they were absolutely fine. You do not need boots to hike in if you're carrying a lighter pack. And if you're carrying a heavy pack and need boots to hike in, you're probably going to get hurt or have some real problems. The other great things about these is that if they do get wet, although these are the waterproof ones, the ones that aren't waterproof, if they do get wet, they dry out very quickly while you're wearing them or at night. I've seen videos on YouTube. Again, people get their boots soaked. They're soaked when they go to bed, and they're soaked when they get up in the morning, and they just destroy their feet. Get a lighter pack. Use that website at thetrek.co. Wear trail runners. Or if you can't go trail runners, you don't want to go that far, wear hiking shoes, lighter weight hiking shoes. You don't need the big honking boots. You'll destroy your feet. That's about what we took. We did it in 6 days. Like I said, longest day was about 23 miles. Shortest day was probably about 13. One other thing about me is that I do not use trekking poles. I've tried them a couple times. Unless I'm in deep snow with boots or snowshoeing, I need some balance. When I'm hiking, I feel like they actually slow me down. So I didn't use trekking poles. Again, if you're not carrying a lot of weight, you don't need trekking poles. Now, if I had the lighter weight tent like I'd probably get, I would probably need trekking poles to set them up, or I'd buy some kind of pole to set them up. If you have any questions about my gear or how to lighten up your pack more, leave a comment. I'll be happy to address it. Again, thetrek.co has a lot of fantastic suggestions. For crying out loud, if you're going to do your research about doing this trip, take it as an opportunity to become a better hiker and get better gear. And you know, I use the Trek because I figure people that are hiking over 2,000 miles in a period of months probably know what they're doing. And so that's why I use that website so much and do so much research on there, other than like your typical YouTube or other channels like that. The Trek has fantastic surveys for that. But use the West Highland Way as a chance to become a better hiker or to start off as a great hiker. The other advantage for my wife and I is that we're both in incredibly great shape. So if you're planning on doing the West Highland Way in a year, use that year to get in shape. Lower your body weight if you're overweight. Do some cardiovascular training. Do some strength training. So that when you hit that trail, your body's in good shape. That's the biggest advantage you have. Um, the main thing you want to have for a successful hike. Outside of that, you really want to have some good gear and not overpack a ton of stuff. The videos I'm watching, people are carrying bottles of wine. People are carrying, I don't know how many spare pairs of clothes. You've got to think like a hiker, not like somebody that's, wants all the creature comforts. Hiking is a little different. And frankly, it's very freeing. I loved it. 6 of the greatest days of my life. We stayed at Fort William at the end of the trip and then made our way back to Mont Guy to pick up our luggage. I could have just kept on going the next day. I felt fine. My legs felt fine. My wife's legs felt fine. We could have just kept going. So with that, I hope that helps some people really enjoy the West Highland Way and not just endure it, but to truly enjoy it. Thanks for listening.